Doug, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate your time.
That's no problem at all.
This is Doug Bennett, international speaker, lifestyle financial planner, and actually one of the best people you are ever likely to meet. And Doug is here today. Quite welcome. And Doug is here today to talk to us about setting and achieving life goals, of which you have some rather good experience. So Doug, tell me a bit about setting and achieving some life goals. I know that you've set a few over the years, and a number have come into fruition.
Well, it all went back to 2004. I wrote a list of goals, and I repeated the goals. I've got a little goals book, and it's a very, very, very small little book, a little spiral notepad, and I wrote my goals on there. Wrote them daily for a little while, and then it was like it just got tucked away in a drawer. It wasn't until maybe 5 or 6 years later that I was just going through the drawer and came across it. And the mad thing is that I completed 10 out of 11 of the goals, even though I wasn't reviewing it on a daily basis. I'd been told that was likely to happen if you wrote your goals down. But obviously didn't actually quite believe it. But proof of the pudding, as they say, is in the eating. And it came true. So having written all those goals out, I thought, well, if it's worked once already, I ought to give it another go. So I wrote some bigger ones.
And you make it sound so simple, which of course I suppose that it is. But can you tell us a bit about that journey? Because it's a sort of a 10 years now, isn't it, since you first created that list of goals that you really wanted to achieve in your life, and you did this on a yearly basis, right?
Yes. Well, actually, the first time I wrote them was 16 years ago, and having created or completed a number of them to start with, I think I picked out the booklet again in 2009, 2010, when I was having a particularly difficult time. And as many people were at that time, it was the global financial crisis. I was doing, before it, I was doing sort of 15 to 20 mortgages a month and the associated life cover that goes with that. So things were pretty good. And then obviously 2008, it just died a death. I think I did 25 mortgages in the whole of 2008, which was a great reduction in my income, and I'd already, on the back of the earlier years, moved to a bigger house, and it was all a little bit crazy around about that time. And I found the book again, and I thought, well, it has worked in the past. Really, I ought to, address it again. So I did, and that was like 10 years ago, 2010. On the edge of bankruptcy, I was at that time, and here we are in 2020, and it's a completely different situation. Completely different.
Brilliant, thank you. And what I love about your the way that you talk about your sort of journey, your story, you're very humble. As you've just said, the difference between now and 10 years ago is very different, and you have done an amazing thing in really kind of keeping a sort of mental record of all of those twists and turns along the way, all the kind of the turning points and things that you tried that didn't go so well, and all of that kind of thing. And so you have this sort of almost this list of lessons, if you like. And can you sort of tell us a couple of things that you've learned that you would really recommend people do when it comes to goal setting?
Well, the first thing is when you're writing your goal down, write it as if you've already accomplished it. So I was writing my goal, I earn £100,000. Now, the reason that you write it in the present tense is because it seeps into your subconscious, and your subconscious can't tell between the past, present and future. It just acts upon instructions. So if you tell it, and the goal was back in 2004, I earn £100,000. If you tell it that you're earning it, or I own a 1200 cc custom Harley Davidson, which I did own. I sold it, and only because it was a little bit complicated at the time and I didn't have any money. But I've now got a 1700cc Harley Davidson because that was on my new list. So the thing is that you have to write these things in present tense. Mm-hmm. So it's one of the other ones that I use is I am happily married to my wife Bonnie. And you think, well, should you tell yourself that you're happily married? And I think actually, if you're going through tough times, reminding yourself daily that you are happily married actually makes you make a little bit more of an effort. So there's three of the goals there. I earn £100,000. I own a Harley Davidson 1200 custom, and I am happily married to my wife Bonnie. So you've got the three goals. I had I think it was 11 on the list, and I had completed 10 out of the 11. So it works. I have to say it does work, and it's very, very simple. I paid 59p for this little notebook, and I still have it now actually. And if you just give me a second.
I love that. You keep it on you.
I keep it on me because you just never know when you're going to think, well, actually I need to update, and you need to update every now and again. But the other thing is that what you need to do is you do it on a daily basis for a short period. Because what happens then is, and you don't review what you wrote the day before. That's the other thing. So that's why a spiral bound notebook is quite good, because you just write the 10 goals. If you can get up to 10, that's really great. And then and then you turn it over, and the following day you write 10 goals again. And then what happens is the really important ones, they're like cream. They rise to the top. So you'll start writing those on a day-by-day basis. And there will be odd ones that come in, and they come and they go. And, they're there and they're important for that day, but only for that day.
Yeah.
But the really, really important ones, as I say, are like cream. They rise to the top. And you write those ones down day in, day out. And they're the ones that you're going to achieve over the long term.
It's just incredible, because this is, this works firsthand. It's talked about in various sort of coaching contexts as well. The importance of writing your goals down. Why would you say? Because you do say writing. You can't just think them, can you? You do have to write them. Why is that?
Well, there's a connection to your brain actually. So the physical act of writing actually puts that connection into your brain, and just thinking it there. If you think about all the things that you think about on a day-by-day basis, you just go insane. And the physical writing just sort of narrows it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And so you're feeding your subconscious, and it is actually quite scientific.
Yeah.
Because there's this section of your brain called and Bonnie's heard this many times, and I say it at dinner, and she's like, anyway, it's your reticular activating cortex.
Okay.
And it's the thing that stops you going insane. Because the thing is, there are so many stimuli around all of the time. You'll hear the birds singing, and somebody will say something, and then you'll hear, the system might be sort of rushing in the background, or there's all sorts of stuff that's going on all of the time. And if you dealt with every single piece of stimuli, you would just go insane. So your actual, the reticular activating cortex saves you from going insane. And what you're doing is, by physically writing it down, you're feeding that part of your brain.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, it's like young mums can hear babies crying 2 or 3, rooms away in the middle of the night. Okay, they'll be instantly awake, and that's because their brain is attuned to that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden as well, you'll find that what will happen is you buy a brand new car, which, the salesman says pretty unique, and then all of a sudden you see them all over the place. And that's, again, is your brain saying, oh, I've seen that before, and it's, pulling that data in. So having the goals means that you pick up on data that will help you go towards those goals. and it's that simple. There is a science in it.
There's a science to it. Yeah, brilliant. That's fascinating.
You just need to tell your brain what it is that you want.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing.
And it will help you find it.
Yeah. And so this kind of implies that it's within the individual, isn't it? And I think sometimes when people hear, write down your goals, write them down daily, you will achieve them, that it's almost like it's going to attract something in from the outside. In reality, what you're saying, what's happening is you're just fine tuning your brain as a filter to just focus in on what it is you really want. And so from that perspective, it also sounds like it's very important to have a clear idea of what it is that you want. And I don't know about...
Absolutely. I mean, there's Napoleon Hill, goes back all those years and years and years, things that you become what you think about and things like that. And that is so very, very true. You attract what it is that you are looking for. So just make sure that, your brain knows what it is that you want to attract in the first instance. Got to make those instructions very, very clear. Otherwise, well, who knows where you'll end up.
Yes, it's very true. So it's what you want becomes your direction. And I think that's why, when people are, because language and the minds are very much the same thing, aren't they? We're very much shaped by our choice of words and what we tell ourselves as well as what we tell other people. And so if you're saying, oh God, it's Monday, or if you're saying, well, I don't want this, you may find yourself in that situation with the thing that you don't want, because you're still instructing. That's still the language that you're giving yourself. That's still what you're saying.
Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't really understand they don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't understand don't or but. I mean, we should try and avoid, but certainly, and don't. Just take those out of the way. The thing about don't do something, right? Don't spill that cup of water. Now, if you give that instruction to a child, the first thing that they got to think about is spilling the cup of water.
Yeah.
And then the don't gets forgotten because they're acting on everything that's after the don't. So you can't use negative stuff. Yeah. I just like feed your brain full of positivity. Surround yourself with positivity as well. I mean, that's the most important thing as well. If you can sort of nicely distance yourself from negative people, I would suggest.
It's so true, because sometimes those people can be quite close to you, but you can't let that. It's a big influencing factor on the way that you think, isn't it? Absolutely.
Just don't return their calls. It's that simple.
A bit unfortunate if that's if that's a partner, a spouse, or that's gonna
becomes complicated.
But it can be the case on a serious level.
Yes, absolutely. Need to try and align yourselves.
Yeah, great. Okay, and so you've had a fantastic 10 years. Your story's amazing. It will be coming out into the world in a slightly new format as well in the not too distant future, and I won't ruin any surprises because I think we'll be speaking again soon, won't we?
Absolutely.
But just for a little bit of a sort of a teaser for people, and to get people motivated with their own goal setting, what's next for you for the 10 years ahead? What's next on your list?
Oh, that is very, very difficult sometimes, because if you go through and you've completed everything, I have got a nice house. Some of the goals, the latest goals that I set just 18 months ago, have come true, which means that I'm in an incredibly comfortable position. And even some of my new goals now are actually lower than what they were before.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit weird, but that's because of everything that's gone on. And so, that's the most important thing. I think they've got to be realistic. We use the SMART acronym. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and trackable. Our SMART goal. Well, I think that is one of the most important things.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
So I've got the house that I want. It needs a little bit of work doing on it. I think really what I want to do now is spread this story for more people, so that hopefully they will get it and they can make a difference to their lives really in the future.
Yeah.
That would be a goal. Good goal.
That's amazing. So helping others through your own experience, sharing your own experiences, having an impact on as many people as you can. Amazing.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much indeed for your time, and I'm looking forward to us speaking again soon as well about what's coming up next, because you have some really exciting projects on the horizon. And yeah, until then, Doug, thank you so much for your time today.
It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you.